Good evening. Before we begin tonight's town council meeting, I want to explain a few things. Before I start, all right. I want to explain a few things about the process in which we are conducting the meeting. To comply with our town code, all meetings of the council shall be open to the public, and the rules of the council shall provide that any residents of the town shall have reasonable opportunity to be heard at any meeting in regard to any municipal question. We are utilizing Zoom video communications. The council and staff can unmute and mute their microphones. Attendees will be muted to limit background noise, and those who have an interesting point have a raise hand feature, which I will monitor. At the appropriate time, I will unmute the attendee to be heard. All residents who choose to participate during the public comment segment of the meeting be advised that the audio and video from your computer's microphone and camera will be broadcast live on Channel 23 and CMC Stream, our Facebook page, our town website, and YouTube later this week. As this is the first time we are utilizing this virtual technology for a town council meeting, I ask you to be patient and understanding if we experience any technical difficulties. Our goal is to comply with the State of Maryland's Open Meetings Act, our codes, and to keep you, our residents, informed and safe. All right, video's going. We're recording. Can everybody see me?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
All right. Can everybody see the flag behind me?
Yes.
Okay. I call the Town of New Windsor Town Council meeting for April 1st, 2020 to order. Would everyone rise and stand with me and say the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge of allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag
The flag
of the United States of America
and to the
and to the
republic for which it stands,
which it stands,
one nation, under God,
under
indivisible,
God,
with liberty
indivisible,
and
with
justice
liberty
for all.
and justice.
Our meetings are recorded electronically. This is our first virtual meeting to be recorded. Anyone wishing to have anything on the agenda for council to address should have had it to town hall by the previous Wednesday by 3 o'clock. For confirmation, Councilman Green, are you here?
I'm present.
Councilman Huffman,
I am present.
Councilman Palsgrove,
I'm here.
Councilman Smith, Councilman Smith, I'll take it that he's here still. Councilwoman Schultz.
I'm here.
All right, we have a quorum and the meeting it has started. Approval of minutes from the March 4th, 2020 Town Council meeting. They have been emailed out to you by Donna. Do I hear a motion for approval?
I'll make that motion.
Second.
We have a motion by Councilman Green, second by Councilwoman Schultz to approve the minutes of the March 4th, 2020 Town Council meeting. Any questions or comments? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Councilman Palsgrove? You're muted.
Did you get an aye from me?
No, I did not.
Aye.
Okay. Councilwoman Schultz?
I said aye.
Okay. Councilman Smith? I'm not sure where Councilman Smith is.
He was there.
Approval of minutes from the March 4th, 2020 Town Council closed session. Do I hear a motion to approve?
I'll make that motion.
Second.
We have a motion by Councilwoman Schultz, second by Councilman Huffman to approve the March 4th, 2020 Town Council closed session minutes. We'll go by roll call. Any questions or comments? Councilman Green,
Aye.
Councilman Huffman,
Aye.
Councilman Palsgrove,
Aye.
Councilman Smith, Councilwoman Schultz.
Aye.
Minutes approved. Joining us this evening is Maryland Secretary Kelly Schultz. I appreciate your time. Secretary Kelly Schultz brings a wealth of knowledge to the Maryland Department of Commerce from her years of experience working in the government, in the private sector, and as a small business owner. She had previously served as the Secretary of Maryland Department of Labor and is a former member of the Maryland House of Delegates. Secretary Schultz, appreciate your time coming here.
Thank you, Mayor. I'd like to get to New Windsor, like physically in the near future, as opposed to just virtually. I am so appreciative of the invitation to come and speak to you and members of your council and also the members of your community. So I very much appreciate that. I want to start out by saying that, as everybody here knows, since this is the first virtual town hall meeting that you're having, these are unprecedented times. We're all working at the state level, at the local level, at the federal level to be able to manage a health crisis in this nation and in this state. And I'm very appreciative of the partnerships that we have had. And I know Governor Hogan is very appreciative of the partnerships that we have had with our federal partners, our federal delegation, and also our local partners in order to be able to support you and your mission as well. So just stating up front that anything that we can do in order to be able to assist your constituency, we're here for you as well. With that, I will say it has been a little unsettling being the Secretary of the Department of Commerce, who up until now, my charge has been to expand businesses, recruit businesses to the state of Maryland. And for the last 3 weeks, we've been trying to keep businesses' doors open. So it's a little different than what we would want for it to be, and we're all learning how to deal with the new normal. And I think my team at the Department of Commerce and at the state agencies, our sister agencies, are doing really, really well. But what I wanted to talk about today is specifically the business relief packages that are available out there for the business community, and what we have at the state level and what we have at the federal level. Everybody knew 2 weeks ago when Maryland was deemed eligible for the SBA emergency disaster funds that people could go in and could provide information to be able to get those emergency loans. So we're really excited about our fast action on that and how all Maryland businesses were able to apply. After that point, last Monday, March 23rd, the governor declared additional funds through our state funds, $175 million going towards a business relief plan. $75 million of those funds are going to a business relief loan fund, and that loan fund is to be able to assist businesses that have 50 employees or less. They can apply for up to $50,000 in loans. It is a 0% interest rate first 12 months, and then after that they can apply. It's 2% interest rate after that. The funds can be used for any type of overhead, employee costs, rent costs, anything that is going to keep the doors open and make sure that the employees can come back at the end of the day when we're finished with the crisis. The second program is a grant fund, and that is something that businesses that are 50 businesses or nonprofits, let me just state that are 50 employees or less can apply for up to $10,000 in instant grant funds in order to be able to go towards the same type of essential overhead expenses that the businesses may have. And we're working on that as we speak. There's $50 million in that fund. The third fund is a manufacturer's innovation fund, and that is being able to incentivize our manufacturing community in the state of Maryland so that they can help with the demand of personal protection equipment, ventilators, anything else that can be helpful for our first responders and our healthcare industry. And I'm really thankful that last Friday that program went live, and we have about 50 manufacturers in the state that are applying to be able to be a part of that. What we're doing is we're offering up to $100,000 to manufacturers so that they can help to retrofit their current operations, possibly with new equipment or new personnel, workers, training, in order to be able to satisfy the need for that, for those critical need items that have been identified by the Maryland Emergency Management Agency and also the Department of Health. So those are the three programs the Department of Commerce is working forward on right now. Last week, we all know that Congress passed and the President signed the CARES Act, which is going to expand on many programs for not only small businesses, but also independent contractors, families overall. We have all of that information that people may want to know or how to find out about those programs. We have it on our website for the Department of Commerce. We have a multi-agency portal for this particular crisis. If they go to the Maryland Business Express, if they Google that, they will see a link that takes you directly to the coronavirus resources, and we're happy to be able to deliver that, and with many frequently asked questions that people are asking along the way, and happy to have that direct dialogue with members of our community. And with that, Mr. Mayor, I'm happy to take questions from you or members of the council as needed.
Anybody have any questions? I know Councilwoman Schultz is up on most of this. We do have, just to let you know, we do have a couple state employees with us on our council, and they've been keeping us posted on a lot of issues through these challenging times. Kim is very aware of these programs, and I'm sure if she needs more information, she'll be in touch with your office. Does anybody have any questions?
Yes, and Secretary Schultz, I've been sharing a lot of this information directly by email with some of our small businesses already, but I might have some questions, so I'll email your office if I do.
That's great. And so for any business, anyone, Councilwoman, that has any questions, we have a team of individuals from all of our sister agencies and the Department of Commerce that are managing an email database that is secretary.commerce@maryland.gov. secretary.commerce@maryland.gov. So if you have questions about essential or non-essential businesses, if you have questions about the specific programs that are available, Department of Labor is very active with unemployment insurance questions. We're happy to help you there.
Great, thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other questions? And if there are other questions from the community watching, please feel free to get a hold of Councilwoman Schultz. All right, Madam Secretary, I greatly appreciate your time, and thank you for joining us.
Thank you, Mayor, and I look forward to seeing everybody, not virtually, but in person in the near future. Have a wonderful evening. Take
You're
care.
welcome
Stay
to here
healthy.
anytime.
Thank you.
Good evening. All right, Mayor's report. First, I want to assure everyone that the council and town staff are conducting business as normal as possible. I have been communicating or meeting regularly with council members, town staff, state and county officials, and the 7 other Carroll County mayors. Town Manager Dye has been communicating regularly with the other town managers as well. Getting everyone's input and information has been extremely helpful. Rest assured, these conversations will continue going forward. I have been invited by Governor Hogan to participate in a conference call at 11 a.m. this Friday on the coronavirus issues. I'll receive a briefing from the governor as well as updates from the Maryland Department of Health. I will post on Facebook any new updates from that call. During these challenging times, as we deal with the impacts of COVID-19, the town of New Windsor will continue to provide essential services for our residents. During this period of social distancing, the town encourages using a telephone, email communication, and use of the drop box rather than the face-to-face interaction. The town hall will be closed to the public until further notice. Anyone needing to meet with town staff will need to make an appointment. In-home services such as water meter and/or transmitter replacements will not be scheduled until further notice. Town administrative operations not involving public contact will continue uninterrupted. Though operationally, the town is taking precautions to safeguard the health of town employees to mitigate the spread of the virus. All town playgrounds are closed, including the skate park. The town cannot sanitize playground equipment on a constant and instantaneous basis, nor can we ensure proper physical distancing in our playgrounds. The town's park remains open. Those visiting parks are encouraged to practice proper hygiene and follow the recommended 6-foot physical distancing guideline. You will hear more about this issue in Councilman Palsgrove report. However, I want to emphasize the importance of this issue. I'm sure most residents are using more disinfectant wipes during these challenging times. However, please do not flush these or any type of wipes down the toilet. This will only result in our sewer pumps becoming clogged and sewer backups, which could result in raw sewage backing up into your home. Please dispose of wipes with your weekly garbage. If COVID-19 is creating financial hardship and difficulty in the ability to pay your water and sewer bill, it's your responsibility to call the town office for necessary arrangements to be made. This includes your bill for January 1st through March 31st, and the next billing for April 1st through June 30th. Please remember online payments through your financial institution, credit card payments, and the drop box by the town hall front door are available. During this challenging time, there will be no water turned off for non-payment or late fees assessed. As we are facing some unknown and first-time situations, please assist when possible. This may include checking on your neighbor daily to see if they have any unmet needs. Check to see if you can run to the grocery store or pharmacy to get them food or for their medicine. The New Windsor Food Bank at St. Paul's United Methodist Church is open on Wednesdays, but you must call 410-635-2470 to make an appointment. You just cannot walk up. You must have an appointment. This week's action by Governor Hogan, stay-at-home order, is an attempt to combat this virus pandemic. I encourage you to support and comply with the governor's actions. I want to give special recognition to all essential employees everywhere who are putting their health and lives at risk during these challenging times. In closing, I want to commend our town employees who, like everyone else, did not sign up to work under these challenging conditions. They are committed to continuing working for you to maintain the high level of services you deserve and need to lead as normal of a life as possible. The challenges created by the ongoing outbreak of coronavirus changes what seems like by the hour. Along with the town council and staff, we look forward to continuing to work for you and all of you to meet these challenges. United we stand, divided we fall. Any questions for my report? Council committees, community enhancement, Councilman Green.
Hello, Mayor, Council, residents that are joining this call. I've been working on the town banner project for a while, but in light of COVID-19, I haven't put that on the back burner. And I kind of want to talk about what the mayor kind of just touched on as far as COVID-19, social distancing, and what the governor mandates actually mean. Unfortunately and fortunately, I'm an essential employee, so I travel daily, and I frequently stop at the 7-Eleven here locally. And I've noticed every day, including after the governor made the mandate, we still have residents that find it to congregate, drink coffee, smoke cigarettes together outside of 7-Eleven. The only way to combat this and the only way to defeat this is if we follow the mandates, stay home unless we need essential items, and protect ourselves and community. This is a community-based spread, and we're at a point now where Carroll County is the 6th highest county in Maryland at this time. And also there's been another nursing home that is now infected, Carroll Lutheran Village in Westminster. So we have to be very aware of how this disease or virus is being transmitted. And please, for the sake of others, especially the elderly, we need to make sure we're doing what we're supposed to do, and that is stay home at all costs unless you need essential items. That's all I have.
Thank you, Councilman Green. Public Works, Councilman Huffman.
Good evening, Mayor and citizens. As the Mayor mentioned, the Public Works crew is continuing to do their duties as they can. They are placing an emphasis on performing those duties using the latest and safety practices they can. They are cleaning and they are cleaning the equipment that they use daily and practicing the social distancing while they do work. They have been filling potholes, and I have a couple announcements that I would like to make. If the citizens see any potholes that they need to have repaired, please contact the office, the town office, and they will get the message and they will work to take care of any potholes that may pop up that they have not filled so far. I'm going to talk a little bit about yard waste. The yard waste pickup has started today. It is the first and third Wednesdays of each month. They will continue to pick up yard waste now. We are asking that you put your yard waste in paper bags if possible during this time. And please, if you're using cans that have splits, breaks, or jagged edges, please discard those and do not use those any longer. Paper bags are preferred during this time, as they are considered sealed and sanitary for our workers to use. The bulk trash that we usually have in April has been rescheduled and as of now will take place on Saturday, May 5th. Of course, that will be subject to change depending on where we are with the virus at that time. Lastly, the Public Works have also started mowing. The mowing will be prioritized. They're going to take care of our water resource areas, and the maintenance facilities will serve priority over the parks that are closed. But they will do their best to take care of all the mowing around town. I think that's all I'd like to mention now.
Thank you, Councilman Huffman. And just to add to the yard waste, please keep the weight to 40 pounds or less. If you can't pick it up, that's an indication that our guys probably shouldn't have to be picking it up. They're just not picking up at one location. They're picking up over 500-600 homes, and after a long day, a 40-pound bag is going to be pretty heavy. So just keep that in mind. And also, they will not pick up bags where they can see, and please don't hide it or anything, but dog and cat waste. Don't be putting that into the yard waste. So thank you. Water and Sewer, Councilman Palsgrove.
Good evening, everyone. Last week, I had a meeting with Wayne Myers, our Director of Public Works, and Town Manager Gary Dye. And in that meeting, Wayne shared several issues concerning our water and sewer systems. Some of this might be redundant in what the mayor had to share in his report, but Wayne assures us that the Public Works staff are geared up for the current coronavirus situation, are practicing safe work methods, and they have adjusted several of their operations to ensure the safety of themselves and the public which they serve. I would add that Wayne is doing an excellent job in his new role of Director of Public Works, and we are grateful to have a dedicated, knowledgeable, and resourceful, and I underscore that resourceful. You don't know what the kind of things this guy can pull out of his pocket, but very resourceful individual in that role. Please share your thanks with Alan and Wayne and Dave as you see them. Do it at a distance, though. Wayne also wished to thank MES, our water and sewer operator, for their continued support in times of need. They have been a great assistance to the town in taking preventive steps and preparations for this COVID-19. In other news, there was a leak at the Dennings Road well site. Wayne and Alan completed the needed repairs and its backing service. Well number 1 at the Hillside Drive is back online after the installation of an updated chlorination system. This site can supply up to 25% of our total consumption. Wayne is also working with Easter Day well drilling at bringing the number 2 well back online. All of these efforts are timely, as there will undoubtedly be an increase in water consumption over the next weeks and months. Here's a repeat of what the mayor had to say, but it bears repeating. we continue to have problems with inappropriate materials entering our sewer system. With the health crisis we are currently experiencing, there has been an increase in the amount of non-decomposing wipes, rags, and other products that clog the pipes, pumps, and the treatment plant. Please, nothing down the drain except the 3 Ps. We also continue to see an inordinate amount of grease entering the system from somewhere within the Atlee Ridge development. This necessitates pumping the wet well at the Atlee Ridge pump station on a regular basis in order to minimize the potential of a system blockage and possible sewer backups into resident homes. None of us want to see that. If anyone has any information as to where this grease might be coming from, please contact myself or the town office. Last item, I wish to assure all residents and users of New Windsor's water system that the water that comes out of your tap is absolutely safe for consumption. I know there may be some information out there about places that you might be able to buy bottled water, places that will actually fill up your bottles, jugs, and containers for no charge. We don't want that to be misconstrued that you now need to start buying water elsewhere. Nothing has changed with regards to New Windsor's water quality. As we've reported in the past, the town's water supply is tested annually as required by the EPA and the Safe Drinking Water Act. If you have not been in the practice of buying water, you certainly don't need to start doing so at this time. That's the end of my report.
Thank you, Councilman Palsgrove. Just to tag along a little bit on that, the other week I put, after Wayne sent me a picture of our clogged sewer pump station, I put a message out on Facebook, and normally if I post something, I get 2 or 3 shares. And that message got just about 300 shares, I think 295 shares. And then who knows how many more shares after that on individual Facebook pages, personal pages. So I want to thank the residents of New Windsor for taking this serious, because this is a problem that we are facing and municipalities around the state and around the country are facing. Just because it says disposable or flushable does not mean it really is able to go into our system without any problems. So as Ed has said many times, no wipes down the pipes. So I appreciate everybody's support on that. Thank you. Public Safety, Councilman Smith.
Can you guys hear me now?
Now we can. You're muted.
Okay. Yeah, I had to change the way I was streaming it. So just to reiterate what everybody else has said, this is very trying times. We understand that. It's unprecedented in the history of this country. I've talked to some people who, some older people who had been through the polio crisis, and that's the only thing they can come close to comparing it to, and said it was nothing like this. So we're in unprecedented times. I can tell you, because of what I do in my day job, I do have to travel throughout the county, and I think Carroll County has by and large complied with what the governor has wanted us to do. I do agree that I'm still seeing things that make me scratch my head with people going out and not realizing there's a big difference between needs and wants. You should be going after needs and not wants. There'll be a time everything's going to get back to normal one day. So that's my little soapbox speech on that. I believe so. I got the report from our town deputy. Said he was not joining, but I believe I see him on here. Can somebody confirm that? Is Brian on here?
Yes.
Okay. So I won't give his report then. I'm sure he can give his own report. But I have spoken to the sheriff and some of the deputies that I come in contact with. Your law enforcement agencies throughout the county, allied agencies, the Maryland State Police, your fire and rescue services are all fully staffed, and they plan on continuing to protect the citizens of this great county of ours. as they always do. They've made some adjustments and some changes. Response time is maybe a little bit longer on non-essential or non-emergency type of situations. What we don't need to do is strain those services even further by having to deal with large crowds gathering and people just simply not complying. That's going to stretch our deputies thin, our police departments thin, our state troopers thin, and it's just not fair. It's not fair to those that need protecting. Some of those people need protecting from themselves. I understand that, but your law enforcement services and your fire rescue services are all there, fully staffed, ready to go. Your county roads and your state highway staff, again, fully staffed for emergencies. They may not handle the minor things, but they are out there for the emergencies. Animal control the same way, where we have come up with a way of making sure, as all law enforcement agencies and public services have staggered their shifts, so they always have a fresh shift on. Some of those calls that we typically handle, what we like to refer to as the nuisance calls, we may not handle those. We're going to handle emergencies only. So, those things like barking dogs and dogs wandering in your neighbor's yards, we're suggesting you try to deal with that in a neighborly fashion, be considerate of your neighbors. But we are there for emergency purposes, same way with the police departments and fire rescue. So just trying to think of anything else. I think that's it. Be assured that your county is still safe. I would suggest that Carroll County is one of the safest counties in Maryland. Will continue to do so. You should have absolute confidence in your law enforcement agencies and your fire rescue people. They are the most dedicated people I've ever seen, and they're there to continue to protect the great citizens of Carroll County. And I ask for your support and support those folks that are essential employees. And that's not just to say that those folks, there's folks that are truck drivers and grocery store employees, support them. Don't make their job any harder. Just simply comply with what the governor is requesting. He's not doing it to make a political stand. He's not doing it to gain a name for himself. He's doing it because it's the right thing to do to protect us all. With that being said, that's my report. Thank you, sir.
Would you like to read the community deputy's report? If not, I have it if you want to read it.
I do have it. I actually had it pulled up. I didn't know if he was going to read it, but I'll give those numbers. Carroll County Sheriff's Office between the dates of March 1st, 2020 to March 31st, 2020.
Report.
Oh, I'm sorry, what's that?
Now, Councilman Smith can give it.
Okay. The Carroll County Sheriff's Office between the dates of March 1st, 2020 to March 31st, 2020 responded to 63 calls for service within the town limits. Out of those calls for service, only 4 required reports, which were as follows. On March 3rd, 2020, at approximately 9:24 p.m., deputies, while on routine patrol, observed a traffic moving violation and conducted a traffic safety stop in the area of Route 31 in Tibbetts Lane. Upon contact with the driver, a smell of marijuana was detected emanating from the vehicle, as well as trace amounts that were observed in plain view. The vehicle search was conducted, which yielded trace amounts of marijuana. Upon a license check of the driver, it was discovered that the operator's privilege to drive in Maryland was currently suspended. The driver was released on citations. On March 7th, 2020, at approximately 12:47 p.m., deputies responded to the 2800 block of New Windsor Road in reference to a hit and run that occurred in the parking lot. Investigation revealed that the vehicle operator stated the delivery truck backed into their vehicle while backing out of the parking spot. The delivery driver advised the vehicle owner that he contacted the police, which caused the other driver to leave the scene of the accident. Accident information was provided to the delivery company, who advised they wished to not pursue these charges. The case was closed by lack of prosecution. On March 22nd, 2020, at approximately 7:07 p.m., deputies responded to the 400 block of High Street in reference to an intoxicated person. Investigation revealed that the store clerk was highly intoxicated and open for business. Upon several attempts to resolve the issue peacefully, the store clerk became disorderly with deputies and was taken into custody without incident. Case is closed by arrest. The Carroll County Liquor Board was contacted and advised of the above violation, which placed the establishment on notice. On March 29th, 2020, At approximately 8:30 a.m., deputies responded to the 100 block of High Street in reference to a police information investigation. It was revealed that 2 juveniles removed a wreath from a door, and once observed, they dropped the wreath and ran. Juveniles were located and their parents were advised of the incident. Juveniles apologized to the victim, who wished no further action to be taken, and case was closed. On other notes, on March 10th, 2020, on March 10th, 2020 to March 14th, 2020, Deputy Colosi was able to attend training at Howard County to become certified as a child passenger safety seat technician. After a 32.5-hour intensive course, I'm proud to announce that he is now certified to install child safety seats along with 2 other members of the Sheriff's Office. It's amazing to me how many people actually do not install them the proper way. My daughter-in-law is a huge person. And I all the years that I raised my children, apparently I was doing it wrong. So if you need help with that, Deputy Colosi is the one to see. The National Council for National Nights Out has recommended that all National Night Out events be canceled for August 2020 due to the current COVID-19 situation. They request that any events be planned for August that were planned for August should be rescheduled for October. However, due to our music on the main, again, I'm sure that's up in the air. Hopefully we'll be clear by then and ready to go. But because of that, we have decided to cancel this year's National Night Out, and we will pick up that again next year. I believe that is it. Unless, Mr. Mayor, you have anything additional?
No, you covered, I think, everything. Okay. I think everybody is aware there's a lot of scams going on, especially with the checks that are coming from the federal government. Do not give out any Social Security numbers to anybody, anytime, make a phone call to someone that you trust, law enforcement, whoever, state's attorney's office, if you have what is you think is a scam. There's a lot of people that unfortunately are taking advantage of people in these type of situations. So that's all I have. But thank you, Councilman Smith.
I'm glad. Just 1 second, Mr. Mayor. I'm glad you mentioned that, because they've already had a case where people are calling up and asking for Social Security numbers to make direct deposits into people's accounts. Rest assured that will never happen. Under no circumstance will anybody from the federal government, the state government, the IRS, or any banking situation call you to ask you for any information over the phone, bank account numbers, Social Security numbers, anything, to get that money in faster. It will not happen. Any phone calls that come in like that should be immediately reported to local law enforcement and should be ignored. In the same token, you want to watch any emails that come out. Be careful what you open, because it can lead very easily to viruses being put into your computer and them being able to steal your information. Another thing is the overall scams are starting. The Sheriff's Department handled a call down in Mount Airy just, I believe, yesterday or the day before, where a woman was called and said that one of her family members were kidnapped, and they were getting ready to go withdraw money from a bank to pay these alleged kidnappers. It turned out to be a phone scam. In fact, that's a very famous phone scam that's been happening for quite a bit of time. But the scams are coming. If it just doesn't sound right, or it sounds too good to be true, it generally is. And you can always contact your local law enforcement to help you verify whether or not it is a legitimate call or it's something that just shouldn't be happening. But at no time, no agency, state, federal, or otherwise, will call and ask you for information over the phone, such as Social Security and or your bank account numbers. And with that, I am now officially done.
All right. Thank you, Councilman Smith. Economic Development, Councilwoman Schultz.
Good evening, Mayor and Council and residents. Just to repeat the information that Secretary Schultz gave, there is a COVID-19 emergency relief loan fund, there's a grant fund, and there's a relief manufacturing fund. And I have shared, I believe, that information on the town Facebook page, and I've also emailed it to several of the businesses, and I'll be posting that again. Just for your information, there's a webinar that's free that the Maryland Chamber of Commerce is hosting this week on the 3rd from 11 to noon. And I'll share that link on the Facebook page as well. It's all about sort of drilling down into what these resources are that the state is offering. So I'm sure they'll do a good job making that a little simpler than when you read it on the website. And just a reminder to everybody that we have a lot of small businesses here in New Windsor, and as much as possible during these difficult times, they need our support. We have 4 restaurants: Frankie's Bar and Grill, Bellissimo's, Uncle Mattie's Eatery, and Lone Star. And Neal, Mayor Roop, has posted a couple of times on Facebook all their hours. They've all modified, except I think for Lone Star has cut back their hours just because, you know, they're only able to do carry out, and a couple of them are doing delivery. But please take a look at that information, and when possible, support your local businesses. And I actually just wanted to also let y'all know that I checked with Seasons at Magnolia to see which is our events venue and bed and breakfast, that they actually had to close under the current restrictions. But they do have some information about activities on their website, so you can check that out too. And we have several other small businesses. We have Garber's is one that comes to mind, the liquor store, you know, so just, and I actually was talking with him via message the other day, and he's actually shortening his hours too, because the other people who work in there are his parents, and they're in the high risk group, so he doesn't want them working in the store anymore. So just keep the small businesses in mind. And just one other thing, the mayor let me know that he had heard that the county was going to be offering some grants. So I got in touch with Paige Sunderland at the county today, and she said the county is working on small business grants opportunities, but they haven't finished the application process and guidelines. And when that's available, she's going to share that with me. So I will also post that on Facebook. And if anybody has any questions about any of that I've shared, please email me through the town email address. That's it.
Thank you. And as I posted on Facebook, these businesses made a commitment to the town, to the residents, and a huge financial commitment to the town. And it's up to us now to support them and make a financial commitment to them so that they survive. So thank you, Councilman Schultz. And we've heard from the committee deputy report. Fire chief, if I can share this, everybody will be able to read it. If I can find it there. Chief Byron Welker gave this to me, sent this to me, and there's the chief's report. Can everybody see the chief's report?
Yep.
Okay. Calls for the month, 22 fire calls, 45 EMS calls. Year to date, 85 fire calls, 151 EMS calls. And Byron wanted to make it well known that the department wants to congratulate former Chief Tom Coe on his promotion to Chief of the Frederick County Department of Fire and Rescue Services. Well deserved. Right. And while we're talking about that, let's just keep those folks in our thoughts and prayers. They're responding to emergency calls, and who knows what situations they're being put in, but they're being fully staffed, as Councilman Smith said earlier. So if there is an emergency, they will respond, but just keep those and all essential employees, but New Windsor is well protected in our fire service. Town manager's report, share that.
Okay, can everybody hear me? Okay, I can go ahead and read that, Neal, if you want.
Let's see here. Nope, that was the sheriff's report. Maybe I didn't bring that up. That's that report. Go ahead.
Okay, so is everybody hearing me okay?
Yes.
Yes.
So good evening, everyone. I have 3 items specifically I want to touch on in my report. The first of which is Town Hall and Public Works staff scheduling. The town of New Windsor should continue to follow Governor Hogan's directives and do our part to help control the spread of COVID-19. assuming this is the direction of the mayor and council, which I believe it is, Town Hall, Public Works will remain closed to the public beyond yesterday's reevaluation date. So therefore, beginning April 6th, Monday coming up, town staff work schedules will be as follows. The town clerk treasurer will be Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 7:30 to 4 as necessary. The secretary receptionist will be Monday and Wednesday, 9 to 3. The two public work staffs will both work on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, 30 to 4. The director of public works will be off on Fridays and maintenance position will be off on Mondays. Town manager will work in the office Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday from 7:30 to 4, and from home on Monday and Friday from 7:30 to 4. Calls to town hall on Tuesdays and Thursdays will be forwarded to the secretary receptionist cell phone, town cell phone from 9 to 3. The clerk treasurer will answer calls on Fridays from 9 to 3. So all the calls coming in to town hall during regular Monday through Friday 9 to 3 hours will be taken, and they will be also forwarded to any messages or calls will be forwarded to the appropriate staff during regular business hours, and then after hours if messages are left as soon as possible. So all levels of government are on Governor Hogan's list of essential businesses. Our goal is to follow the governor's executive orders, protect the town staff and residents while still maintaining core services and basic operations. Staff will only work at town hall as much as needed to complete these essential administrative and operational services. An update on the town welcome sign. The New Windsor welcome sign as you come into town on Maryland 31 from Westminster was damaged during the tornado storm on February 7th. Mike Reynolds, our circuit rider, contacted two sign vendors to get quotes to replace the sign. We received both quotes, one from Woodland Signs and one from Image 360.
Which I have up here now.
Yep, they were all forwarded to you all as part of my large email with several attachments. Woodland Signs provided two options, the A and B there, and details of the three options have been provided by each vendor. We have $1,100 left from the insurance claim we made to Legit for the storm damage. Therefore, depending on which vendor and option we go with, the town will have to pay accordingly. With the Woodland Signs option A, the difference is $1,225. Woodland's option B is $685, and Image 360 difference is $854.74. So if council has any questions, input, or preference, we can discuss that now, or you can let me know later if you want to take some time to look at the information.
What I would like to do is take that before the New Windsor Lions Club. I believe they were the ones that installed that. Actually, Dave Alt from the New Windsor Lions Club built that sign. And I think it has a little bit of a sentimental meaning to the Alt family as well as the Lions Club. So, maybe we can approach them. Right now, they're not be able to do any fundraising, but I'll check with the Lions and see whether or not they can help us out a little bit.
And then also I shared the Mike's email with this information that you all have with Director Wayne Myers. And so he and I will be discussing and looking at a little more in detail as to what his preferences and what we like from our town perspective. So,
Gary?
Yes, sir.
Gary?
Yes.
There's no opportunity to get any additional insurance money to cover that difference for the sign. Legit, that's the payout. That's all we're going to get.
Yeah, we made back after the storm, we made a claim for both the tree damage out at the well sites and the sign, and that was the total total that they gave for that claim. So that money's the remainder. I mean, we can check and ask, but that was my understanding that was the claim, the total claim.
There's option A. Anything else, Town Manager?
I got one more thing. MDE inspections of the water treatment plant and wastewater treatment plant. MDE performed an inspection of the wastewater treatment plant on February 13th. MDE submitted an inspection report on February 20th, and there were a few items the town needed to provide to MDE. Town manager sent a letter to MDE on March 18th, along with the requested information. MDE acknowledged receipt of the information, and they have nothing additional needed at this time. MDE performed an inspection of the water treatment plant and distribution system on March 2nd. MDE submitted an inspection report on March 4th, and there was one item considered a significant deficiency. A written response to the water supply program with MDE is required within 30 days with a corrective action plan to correct the deficiency. Public Works and MES developed a corrective action plan to address that deficiency, which Councilman Palsgrove touched on. It was out at the well with the leak. In both for the plan was for short-term and long-term. Town manager sent a response letter to MDE on March 18th. The letter outlined the immediate short-term corrective action measures taken and the long-term plan. Photos of the corrective action measures performed already by Public Works were sent along with the letter, and MDE acknowledged receipt of the letter and the pictures and will notify the town if any additional information is needed. So that's the end of my report. If anyone has any questions?
All right, Treasurer's report.
You should have that, Neal, I believe.
Yeah, I should. Here we are. All right, as of April 1, 2020, each of the following balances given as of March 31st, 2020. General fund balance is $644,421. General fund capital budget, the balance is $221,664. Enterprise fund, the balance is $407,406. Enterprise capital reserve in the 3 R's fund, the balance is $148,668. Developer fees, the balance is $625,742. Money market fund, the balance is $27,804. Real property report. There are 10 properties for sale. There is 1 property in a foreclosure process. Water and sewer, no turn-offs, as I mentioned earlier, due to the current COVID-19 situation. New billing will be mailed no later than Friday, April 3rd. I have also we'll discuss this more in the budget process and under new business, but to keep more of a magnifying glass at this time on our budget, I've asked Donna to do a year-to-date budget for us to going forward, so we can see exactly where our revenues are and where we actually stand in the budget. I think we'll be okay for this fiscal year, but going forward, it's unknown. So Donna is going to, I know, do an outstanding job keeping a close eye on, not that she hasn't before, but these are a little bit more difficult times. And I know I have all the confidence in Donna and Gary keeping an eye on the budget as we go forward. Any old business? New business, executive order to temporary extend PIA request time. Let me bring that up. Michelle, are you with me?
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Hit the right button. What that is about, that is something we really hope we won't need. but we are authorized to do this by one of the many executive orders the governor has just issued. As you all know, if someone were to submit a Public Information Act request, there are deadlines in the statute as to how long we have to reply to that. Obviously, given the cutbacks on staff, it would be difficult, if not impossible, to meet most of those deadlines. So this executive order, which is being done pretty much just about everywhere, gives the town the ability to wait, if you will, until the emergency is declared over by the governor, and then those ordinary timeframes would begin to run. This one has to be sent to the governor's office for approval and to notify them. I think that that we're doing this, which is why if you look, it says that it takes effect on a blank date, because we can't know that it takes effect until we know it's been approved by the governor's office. But I'm sure it will be. It's pretty much the standard format I think many places are using. So that's why we may never need it. We don't get that many Public Information Act requests, but I want to make sure that we're in good shape in the event that we do.
And that executive order will be number 04-01-2020.
All right.
Do I hear a motion to adopt executive order number 04-01-2020?
Actually, you don't
Make that motion.
No?
that's fine and good, and that can go in the minutes, but it's an executive order, not a legislative order. So actually, Mr. Mayor, you can do it on your own.
Okay, I just did it. Thank you for your support. Thank you for doing that, Michelle.
All right.
Quick question, Neal.
Yes.
Michelle, are you sending that to the mayor's
I will
office?
send it, yes.
Okay. And
Yeah, I
then
have all
once
the
it's,
contact information, but I might need for you, if it's possible, you or Donna tomorrow to scan the signed version with the number on the top and the signature, and then I will be able to email it, because that's how we're sending them down there. I have the guy's address, email address. I'll forward it down there for approval.
very good. We can do that.
All right.
Thank you, Michelle.
Okey doke.
All right, second item, temporary waiver of water and sewer base fees.
Yeah, I'll go ahead and start since I've been kind of very aggressive about this. So as we know, the current environment, we're not even, as we just talk about Carroll County right now, I see numbers, we're approaching about 1,200 in the unemployment rate. The state's seeing record numbers of unemployment. Local businesses are trying to find alternatives to keep up employees employed currently, to keep revenue sources up. Here's my thought process. One, I understand the treasurer's report when she says that there's no numbers for potential turnoff notices because of the COVID-19 situation, where we cannot send out turnoff notices currently because we cannot collect on that. But I think it's very important, simply because a year ago when I ran for office, I never expected to be in such a national crisis or such a situation as this. This is very trying times. And I feel as the position that we're in, I can't look at my circumstance, for instance. I mean, I'm an essential employee. My wife's an essential employee. There's no loss of income, but we have to think about the community as a whole, our local businesses as a whole. What I would like to see take place is over the next 30 days, collect data of what those potential turnoff notices would have been, that would have been in the treasurer's report. And let's see if there's an increase over the next 30 days of what the potential is for residents that cannot afford to pay, and or some local businesses, if they cannot afford to pay water and sewer bills currently. Honestly, it's an undefined period of time. We don't know if this is going to last a month. We don't know if it's going to last 2 months. We don't know if it's going to last into August. We're already canceling National Night Out. We're already hopeful that we're going to have music on the Main in October. The worst thing that we can do is to have a situation where a resident cannot afford because they're unemployed and or seeing reduction of hours at work and or business, to see that they're consistently over time, they will not be charged late fees, but months and months and months worth of water and sewer bills that they just cannot feasibly catch up on. So I think we need to take the next 30 days, look at the numbers, what would have been the turn off notices for this current period, and then go 30 days beyond and say, how many more percentage wise is that? And see the increase in influx. And then at that time, I would like to see us take aggressive measures of doing a waiver to get people as whole as possible coming out of this situation, so we're not placing such a burden upon the residents and our local businesses. I think it's imperative that we do this because I just can't feasibly see someone that is unemployed or has issues paying because of reduction of hours. If they get 3-4 months behind, how would they ever dig out of this? I understand that we're working with people, payment plans, but it's going to be bills piling on top of bills. And I think in this situation, the last thing somebody, a resident, a local business needs to worry about is how are they going to dig out of this hole because they just lost their job, they're on unemployment, or they've seen reduction of hours and they're not bringing in the income. Like I said, I've been very fortunate. I could pay on time. I would urge residents that could pay on time to do so. And I would also urge residents that can't pay on time to call town hall, so we have that information and data, so we can find out who really needs the help, and we can go ahead and try to extend that arm out and see how far they're behind and see how we can help that situation. That would be my proposal. I think we need a 30-day period to figure out what the numbers look like of how many people cannot pay and what that's going to look like in a future forecast, and figure out how we can remedy that situation so people just don't get so buried behind bills that I honestly don't think they would be able to catch up on at this point if they get 3-4 months behind because they lost their job or reduction of hours. That's my input. I would love to hear everybody else's.
Council?
Councilman Green, if I understand correctly, you're not suggesting that we actually take any kind of action at this point. It's just kind of a monitoring of who's able to pay and who's not able to pay, and see where that takes us. Is that correct?
Correct. I mean, my theory is not all of us need help, but I think we should extend the hand of help that needs it. And I think we need a 30-day period to monitor those numbers and see who are the residents or possibly local businesses that need that extension to go ahead and be able to help them coming out of this, to make them whole and not being so far behind when we come out of this crisis.
Well, Donna can keep track of that. I mean, that's not going to be a problem with that.
So, if I may, Councilman Green and I have discussed this. I had a short conversation also with Councilman Palsgrove for full disclosure, and you know, I understood where Councilman Green was coming from. I also, after speaking with Councilman Palsgrove, he suggested to me that we don't know where everybody is at in this situation. I am fortunate enough to be considered an essential employee. My wife is an essential employee, so it has not impacted us financially at this point. And we really don't know where the numbers are in this town, you know, as to how many people that may actually affect how many essential employees we have versus non-essential employees. So just, you know, going around talking to the people in my neighborhood, people that I see passing by, I'm seeing some people that both people are still working. I'm seeing some that both people are not working, and some with a mixture. So I spoke to Councilman Green tonight. I understood where he wanted to go with waiving that month, and we talked, and I said, you know, and I agreed with him that tracking the numbers, and I think Donna obviously would be the one to do that, because from my memory of the 8 years or 7 years on the council, there seems to be always, every month, there's a handful of people who get the late notices. And then she'll say there's some that then pay, and then the second late notices go out, and there's a few still left. And some take right up until the time that they get turn-off notices. Now, in my memory, we really haven't had to turn off many people in the time that I've been on the council. So if we were to see just exorbitant numbers that were way out of whack, that would certainly give us an indication of how many people really are struggling. Now, not to say that there isn't some people out there who go, yeah, I'm struggling, when they're really not. I'm not saying that there will be or won't be, but at least we'd have a better understanding of where we're at. So I thought it was a little premature to try to get some waiver done right at this point, because we don't know where the numbers are at. We also don't, as much as we want to, and I'm sure I'm speaking for everybody, want to look out for our citizens. We also have to be very aware of what a lack of revenue or a cut in revenue would do. We all know that our budget is very, very tight. I mean, there's not a whole lot of gravy left over. That the money that the town generates through revenue goes to essential services. It goes to services of this town. It goes for trash collection. It goes for street repairs. It goes for all those things that we know about, wastewater treatment plant. It goes for all the things that we count on and that we need. But I think it would be very prudent on our part to try to get ahead of this and get the numbers that we need, so we're not 2 months down the road, 3 months down the road, and then all of a sudden trying to figure out, what we need to do. These again are very different times, and there's a lot of things that are going to happen, and there's going to be a lot of people hurt. Not only people hurt, but small towns and small businesses and big towns and big businesses. And I think it is very prudent on our part to start compiling the information that we can, and certainly let our citizens know that for right now, we're not going to assess late fees. We're not going to turn off water. And while that may be a state mandate, I got to believe in my heart that even if it were not a state mandate, that's something that we would have done on our own. Just out of just the human nature of being in a small town. I don't think any of us want to put any of our citizens in jeopardy financially, but I do think it's not too early to start the process of collecting the data to see exactly who is going to be impacted by this very bad situation. And so I agree with Councilman Green on that point. I'm glad that he has moved in that direction, and we're not at this point looking for a waiver at this particular point. But I will throw my support behind his idea if that is something that becomes necessary. I just want more information before I make that commitment. Thank you.
So I'll chime in quickly. I think it's a wise decision to the data. Certainly not make any decisions without having the data that backs it up. Depending on what that data shows, we can certainly act accordingly. One thing we can just throw in the back of our mind as we're collecting this data, it may be an opportunity for the town to set up some kind of fund that people. So it's just something to keep in our back pockets as we're collecting this data and see where it falls out. That there's lots of opportunities and lots of different ways that we may be able to help those that find themselves in a difficult situation.
Anyone else? And as Councilman Smith related to, I believe we may even have been one of the first municipalities, even before the state enacted no cutoffs. I know it was about the same time. And I think Donna has always worked well with all of our residents when they get behind and have difficulty. So we already had that policy in place, and that will continue. As we all agree, we don't know what the next month or 2 months or 18 months will bring to the town. So this is one issue also that the mayors and I have been discussing, going back and forth a little bit. No one is really making any decisions at this time. It's more like everything else, just wait and see. So, and I'm sure Gary's probably talking with town managers on that end too. So the more input we get from everybody, I think it'll be more of a united front. Whatever we do, I don't think we'll be doing any different than anyone else. So just keep that in mind, that we'll be working with other municipalities as well, and also Maryland Municipal League. There's 157 municipalities facing the same issues. Some don't have base rates, some have different rates than what we do. So, well, like I said before, Donna will be working with all individuals, and I know she'll keep a good eye on those who aren't. But as Councilman Green recommended, that if you can pay your water and sewer bill, please pay it. Okay.
Neal, if I may.
Yes.
I think it's definitely worthy of looking and taking a look at the numbers. We can certainly do that. I'll meet with Donna and go over things with her. There's just, right now, there are a lot of people out of work. There's no doubt. One of the things that we don't know when you hear unemployment rates and stuff or people being out of work is you don't know. Some people are still getting paid, some people aren't. So, my wife's a teacher for Carroll County Board of Ed. She's not working, but she, fortunately, still getting paid. And some people fall in that category, some people don't. So yeah, we definitely want to take a look at it, track it, and see how things play out, see what the numbers are. That I think we need to do that as part of our due diligence on the town's part. The other thing to possibly consider, is in looking at the revenue side of it, is possibly looking at maybe considering waiving the usage rate versus base rate. The base rate goes to paying our loans that we have for the various larger infrastructure projects that we've had and will do, have in the past and will do in the future. And the usage rate is a lower number, but would still offer some relief possibly. Just something else to consider on that front. But we can definitely look at things, and like I said, I'll meet with Donna tomorrow and have her start tracking anything like that. So thank you.
All right. Thank you, everyone. Fiscal year 21 budget discussion. And let me bring this up here. Before Gary starts talking about the budget, Gary, Donna, and Wayne deserve a lot of credit and praise for putting the budget together. They worked long hours for probably the last 2 or 3 months putting this together. Having said that, though, in the last week or two, as every other budget in the state of Maryland is going to have to be reworked, fine-tuned. Now, hopefully, things would get back to normal by July 1st, but we don't know that. We can't plan on that. I guess we can plan on it, but we can't guarantee that, I guess. And Gary will go a little bit more in detail. He's going to be fine-tuning it. Tonight was to be our night to introduce the budget. However, our April work session will be the 20th. So that gives Gary, Donna, and Wayne, and Gary's already started on it, I know, to fine-tune the budget for introduction at our work session. Very possible we could see, change for the good or for the worse. That could indicate more about our budget process. But going forward, we're going to have to make some changes. I don't know if everybody received email from MML, Maryland Municipal League, about the highway user revenues are going to be down. Basically, it's your best guess on what we're going to be getting this year. income tax revenues, property tax revenues are going to be down. Thank goodness we don't depend a lot on emissions and amusement tax revenues. But we already discussed water and wastewater user fees. If people aren't able to pay, that's another issue. So, you know, there's a lot of components to going forward with the budget. And Gary, Donna, and Wayne, I know will do their best to present a budget for our work session. And I know that he'll be sending it out to everybody. But Gary, I didn't mean to take all your thunder there, but it's not an easy process right now. I know, and just in the past week, we've talked about this multiple times, and going forward is going to be a challenge, just like any budget process.
Yes, thanks, Neal. You touched on a lot of stuff I was going to, and I'd like to personally thank Wayne and Donna for their work. It is a long, arduous process, but you know, we have it. You know, when you get it to this point, the adjustments that we can look at are not as major. Hopefully, not as major. We won't have to redo the whole budget. You know, it's, you know, as you can imagine, projecting revenues is always, you know, under normal circumstances is always a challenge. Most revenue line items that we see in our budget are based on known numbers and formulas and information that are provided by various entities. You know, as you can imagine, it's been touched on several times tonight that under our current circumstances and the known and the unknown aspects and impacts of COVID-19, you know, make these revenue projections even more challenging. Neal touched on the information that we got from MML, you know, about the reduced revenues in certain areas. And all the municipalities and counties are in the same boat, and even across outside of Maryland, other states are, I'm sure, in the same situation. You know, that being said, that no one has the crystal ball, at least that I know of. If you do, you got to play that card. But you know, no one can say with certainty, you know, how long this is going to last and what the, you know, final impacts will be. But collectively, we have to be comfortable moving forward with our revenue projections that we use for the FY21 budget. We do have some time before July 1st to see how things play out, and we can always make amendments, you know, before and after adoption of the budget. So just keep that in mind. Neal touched on this as well. The budget schedule has been slightly adjusted, but overall we're still on track to have the budget hearing and adoption at the May 18th work session. So we're still within the overall budget schedule. What the town manager will need direction, at least discussion from the council as to any changes or direction or levels of conservancy, whatever to do or not to do in order to make the changes to the budget so that we can stay on the schedule with it. You got, the council has copies of the FY20 budget we're discussing tonight. You know, yeah, I've already thanked the staff and everything for that. So the good part, at least at this point, is that the balance is it's balanced and without a tax increase. We'll look at these numbers again with the directions that we have and certain numbers, for instance, on the water and sewer side, the revenues are generated based on a certain number of EDUs, new homes coming online. And last year, for instance, we were using 15 units, 15 EDUs. The EDU is equivalent dwelling units, basically one house. And we can run on the water sewer side. It's a little easier because we can run those numbers based on water and sewer base rates and user rates based on average, average quarterly flows, water usage. So that's pretty easy to make adjustments if we want to go from, instead of projecting 12 to 15 EDUs, maybe, we could go as far to the left, so to speak, as zero growth, or we could find some middle ground and maybe run with 6 EDUs. I'm just throwing numbers out there. That part of it's pretty easy to do once some directions given to me, and then we can tweak those numbers accordingly. The hard part, unfortunately, is more on the general fund side, where you have variables that we know, revenues that we know are going to be impacted, but are harder to pinpoint and pin down, so to speak, or adjust. Income tax and real property and the highway user revenues. I mean, it's really going to be our best educated guess, and that's all we can do. So I will certainly do that, but I'd like to get the council's input on your thoughts and maybe direction of which level we want to pursue at this point under these circumstances.
I think everybody's probably going to support you, Donna, and Wayne making the majority of recommendations. It's a guess on what the income tax decrease may be, the personal property and the real property. The personal property is probably going to stay the same, but real property, we don't know whether we're going to see 6 houses built or 15 or more. Right now, the market is good. Interest rates are extremely low, but it's also, I think, what I've heard is a little difficult getting into the banks to set up an appointment for loans. Right. So, unless somebody has a magic ball in their home there, I'm going to be working with you, Donna, and Wayne as well. And if somebody has some great thought process to help out, join in.
So as far as the EDUs go, I think it would be, you had it in one of your emails that you were going to talk to our builder to see the kind of projections that they are still planning to make. I think it would be wise to, we would only be guessing, if we go down to zero, or we're just picking that number out in the air. But someone that really has that vested interest in there, that developer, I'm sure he's got to scale his whole entire operation to what he thinks the market is going to be. And I think they would have a better pulse on that than us trying to make an educated guess without, the real data to do that. I believe that even if this coronavirus continues, the banks are going to find ways to get people in to make loans and things like that. They're going to change their operating status to stay alive and get people in. I've already seen, roofing companies where just you send them your address and they send a drone out and things like that. So I don't believe that will be a long-term for people to get, but I do think we should at least try to touch base with the builder community to see, or thinking they're going to take a 50% hit and then we would know, or do they think it's going to be 75%? That's all.
Well, I did kind of reach out to them, and one partner, they had hoped to have, I don't know if I sent that out to everybody or not, but had hoped to have the model homes units ready by middle of April. Now it's looking probably the end of April. So they are going to be ready, to sell. And I think one, Donna told me, is already on the market. But for them to pinpoint a number, I'm not sure they're going to be able to do that. I'm sure they are projecting, but I'm not sure, what the public works agreement is, probably what they're going by in a way. but it's just unknown. And whether or not, you know, I can talk to the actual builder and see what his thoughts are.
Yeah, the PWA for where we're referencing Snyder Summit, by the way. The PWA for Snyder Summit, as it stands today, is 12 units per year. Now they can obviously request an amendment to that, or a revised PWA or an amendment to it, but it's 12 units per year. That's what they're committed to based on the PWA at this point. And I think that's what obviously they're going to shoot for that, if not more. I mean, they can always do more. We've seen at least initial uptick of the new building permits pulled it at Four Snyders. I think they're trying to get model homes of each of the different styles, the single family, the towns, and the villas ready. I believe there are at least 10 permits that have been pulled so far. But you know, again, it's crystal ball. But I can check with other municipalities to see where you know what they're anticipating, and they could also might have different builders and more projects to look at that are going on versus our Snyder Summit.
So Gary, this is Terry. Just so maybe I missed something, but you're saying that under the PWA agreement, they have to deliver 12 a year, right? And that's what we're looking at as far as our revenues on these EDUs, correct?
Correct.
So if we're looking at this with the shortfall because of this now situation that we're in, they would still be liable to deliver those 12 a year under the agreement unless we amend that agreement, correct?
The developer can request would be the one to request the amendment to the PWA.
So as of now, we can look at it as that they have to deliver those 12 a year, correct?
Until there's a change to that PWA, that's what they have to do.
Okay.
Well, they don't actually have to build the houses, but they have to pay the fees.
Correct. They have to deliver the fees for those 12.
Right. And those fees that we're talking about specifically in terms of a revenue item are the area connection charges, the water and sewer connection charges, connection fees. And then there's other fees associated. They're lesser fees from the developer, but the water and sewer area connection fees are the big ones.
And are you getting any indication, Gary, and maybe it's early in the process, other municipalities, the potential of them working with the realtors to allow them to amend their agreement because of the current situation, or are they still holding steadfast on their agreements?
I haven't posed that question to the other town managers yet. I certainly can. Again, I think, you know, it's a little early, but I'm sure, you know, I get multiple emails a day from the town managers group asking various questions related to all the situations. That just happens to not be one. I'm sure it's coming, and I might be the one to ask it tomorrow. So, yeah, I can definitely, you know, definitely ask that question. There's a lot of, one thing I've learned through all this is there's an abundance of resources but at the county level and state level to bounce questions off of. So we can certainly do that.
I'm going to stick my nose in here if you don't mind.
Sure.
Practically, legally, yes, they're absolutely obligated under that contract to pay those fees. As a practical matter, if they're not building properties and nobody's building properties, and pushing them to pay that runs the risk of them abandoning the project. That's at the risk of sounding like somebody who's on TV a lot these days. That is a cure that is worse than the disease. So when we're talking about their projections and how much they are obligated to pay us, we need to be careful that we don't have in our head that under any circumstances they're going to pay us. If they haven't got the money and we push them into bankruptcy for those fees, that doesn't help. I just hear people talking, and I just felt like I had to throw that in.
No, and Michelle, I would be inclined to agree with you. I was kind of seeing if there's like a overall what everybody else is thinking, doing. But I'm also wondering, and this is something that could be answered later too, if we have to take a loss because of this current situation, is there any type of funding that we can request because of the deficit in our budget for lost revenue because we had to amend agreements of any sort?
You mean like governmental funds?
Yes.
Oh, who knows? That gets us back to the nice lady who spoke to us at the beginning. I would have no way of knowing. That's an interesting concept.
I know there's some federal funding coming down, but what I read today was municipalities of 500,000 people. So whether or not any of that filters down to our level or not, I'll be tickled if it does. But we're not going to be the only ones in that boat. So maybe there will be funding, maybe not from the federal level, but maybe from the state level.
Okay.
So what I've read in the stimulus package that was offered up federally, there is a line item in there for helping with government entities and municipalities. Now, with that being said, the county has already reached out to the different agencies, including, and I'm only going by the Humane Society because that's where I work, but they reached out to a lot of the agencies and just basically said to keep a separate spreadsheet on any losses that or any expenses that those agencies may be experiencing. They wanted separate. They haven't made any promises, but they're being told by the state that there's a possibility that some of those would be covered first from the state to the county. But that came out. I took note of that. Came out pretty shortly after the stimulus package was released. And then I looked at it, and there is a line item in there for bailing. But again, like the mayor said, that could be municipalities and greater than us, obviously in numbers. But so I think there is an element to that, but way too early. The one question I would have is, I thought I heard in some of the reports that there was a possible extension on the filing requirements for filing the budget this year on a state level. Is that true?
I have looked into that a little bit, and I don't find anything. I have talked to some other lawyers who represent municipalities, again, through the MMA lawyers group. And as a general rule, the timing of when we do our budgets is governed by our own charters. What is not completely within our control is the constant yield issue that we have to let the county know by, Gary, I'm not sure the exact date, it's like May 22nd or 3rd, something like that. If we're going to change our tax rates, we have to let the county know. But the timing of passing, introducing, having hearings, and ultimately adopting your budget is in your own charter. That's not state law. Obviously,
so then, Michelle, would that be if we need it the extra time? And I agree with the mayor that I have every confidence that Gary and Donna will be able to get that together, and the mayor and yourself. But if that were something that needed to happen, is that something that would have to happen by way of charter change, or could that be an executive order? Could be a motion? How would that work?
I think, and the people I've talked to also, that would have to be a charter amendment. So you can amend a charter the day you introduce a resolution. However, the charter amendment isn't effective for 45 days because it gets to go to referendum. So it's really not a solution. Unfortunately, just getting it done earlier is the only real practical solution to the situation.
Gotcha. And I agree that every confidence that they'll get it done, but
I'm sure
everything is so unpredictable right now. I'm just thinking about it.
Oh yeah.
And the budget is a necessary item, but keep in mind it's a what I want to say. It's a opportunity to not only be amended, but it's not in stone. I'll put it that way. You know,
Yeah.
it's a guideline. A budget is a guideline more than anything
Exactly.
sometimes.
Fluid. The word is fluid.
Yeah. So, but anyway, the budget, you know, once we adopt it, we, as Gary said, and I've said, we can amend it at any time. And I imagine there's going to be a lot of budget amendments throughout the year.
Oh, yeah.
If this continues. So it's going to be what it is, really. But by the 20th, I feel confident we'll have a budget to present and then vote on in May. Michelle, while we're talking about that, is there a day amount of between the time that you introduce it and vote on it?
It has to be advertised. There has to be a public hearing that is advertised. I think it's 2 weeks.
It is.
So it could be introduced. Donna and I were talking about this today. It would be introduced at the April work session, which I think is the 18th. And the next day she can, oh, okay, whatever. I'm sorry, I don't have my calendar here. The next day she can send it to the paper. We'll establish to have a public hearing at the May. Okay, how did she work that out? I don't think we can have the hearing at the May council meeting. I don't think there's enough time between the work session and the council meeting, but there would be plenty of time between the first work session in April and the May work session. And those are public open meetings, and we'll do that just like this, and we'll have a public hearing that night, and then you can adopt it that night.
That's
and that
the
will
18th.
also,
That's the 18th of May.
Of May. That's where I have the 18th. That will also get us in so that in the event that the county doesn't change or cannot change its deadline date relative to the constant yield, we'll be good. And we'll have all that done in advance of the necessary day for that. So the good folks out there are on top of it.
Okay.
Does that
The
answer your
May
question?
18th date, the May 18th date for the work session is the per our budget schedule of when we would have the hearing and adoption. So that's what I alluded to earlier, that we can maintain. We have some meetings yet and some time to get the budget together, discuss even more, and we still have time to advertise it and adopt or have the hearing and adopt at that May 18th work session.
Good job. Anything else to discuss on the budget? All righty, just relay to Wayne and Donna our thanks and appreciation.
Will do.
Any other new business? Residents' concerns? Seeing none? Hopefully everybody was able to see that feature. I don't see anything. All right. Announcements, the only thing I have is our Memorial Day service is going to be on Sunday, May 17th. It's a week before our normal day, so that it's easier to get speakers. And if nothing else, we will have it on a Zoom meeting, something different, but we will have a Memorial Day service. It'll be May 17th at 6 p.m. So hopefully we have it at the Presbyterian Church, but I'm not able to guarantee that, but it will be on Zoom. Anybody have anything else for the good of the town? We had, I think, 17 altogether. We're still with 14. I want to thank everybody for their participation with this. This definitely was something new. It's actually historic for the town of New Windsor to do this virtually. We've never done it before, so hopefully everything turned out. I want to thank everybody that helped with this. CMC, Community Media Center, was huge in this. We had 2 test runs yesterday in the day to make sure everything went running. I'm sure there's going to be a couple areas where we can probably improve on. They asked me to move my screen down so my top of my head wasn't cut off. There's a couple of heads that are cut off, but these are learning experiences. But the bottom line is we are continuing to operate as a town, and that's not going to stop. And I want to thank our staff again, our employees. It's a small group, but it's a strong group, and they're doing everything they can to continue providing the day-to-day services that our residents deserve and need. So again, thank you to our employees and thank you to our town council. Working together, we will survive. We will move forward. Do I hear a motion for adjournment?
I'll make
So moved.
Who was that?
Take your.
Yeah, Ed Smith and Ed Palsgrove. Two heads are better than one.
Okay. In a second, I'll give Ed, you want to second that?
Sure.
All right. We have a motion by Councilman Smith, second by Councilman Palsgrove to adjourn the meeting. All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
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 I'm taking that as I heard all five.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. Meeting is adjourned.